basically when I got my first Citroen, I drove it around, and after a few years of ownership, I drank the Kool-Aid because it was like, oh, it's the best car ever. It could climb a wall of ice, start in 40 below, never overheat, totally armchair, comfortable cruising.
And why do you own a Citroen? I mean, it's one of those cars that is, has a reputation for being extremely hard to maintain, especially with the air suspension. So what forced you to get this?
Okay, that reputation is part of what made me think, I must get one of those pieces of junk and master it.
You can drive it, you're telling me, on 3 wheels.
You can drive it on 3 wheels.
And you've driven it on 3 wheels?
Yes.
What's that like?
2 times. You have to have 2 wheels on the front.
Yeah.
And you can take 1 wheel off the back. And if, for example, the left rear wheel is off, you would want to be a little dainty around sharp right corners. You can have a flat, and I've had this happen too, you can have a flat tire on the front at 80 miles an hour and not know it till you smell it. The ground clearance goes from maybe 14 inches at the high extreme and 3 at the low or something like that. It's
extreme.
They were really kind of meant to, post-war France was all cobblestones and rough roads, and so that's why French cars have this reputation for soft suspension. They're the anti-sports car, It's a Hemi, not the Hemi everybody goes,
but hemispherical.
But yeah, hemispherical. Roughly 2.2 liter, 2175, so 2.2 liter. Front wheel drive, but it fits in the way a normal engine would, but it's at the back. The transmission, or I should say transaxle, is down low and ahead below the radiator. And so everything is driven off. Where most engines would have a crank pulley, this has a flywheel. The timing cover's at the back end, and there's no exposed pulleys whatsoever. So the pulley that drives everything is the cam pulley, so it's got to be that big.
And how many horsepower is it putting out? Or was it putting out when it was
they varied, lots of subtle variations, but in general, the bottom end cars were probably putting out 107, and in their final DS23 fuel-injected form, 140.
The ride is just incredible. It feels like you're wafting on a cushion of clouds. I suppose that was probably their old advertising.
Their advertising was actually the company at the time was famous for its advertising in Europe for being ahead of the advertising norm. When other ads were just very straightforward and here's what this car will do for you, Citroen was very poetic about it. The dash-mounted rearview mirror, they did because of the low roof line at the back. I like it, except when I have a car seat in the middle, because then I'm blind. But it's novel. Mostly it's novel. It's not a big difference. And then the mirrors out on the fenders, I prefer those just because they're slightly convex. They cover your blind spot. And no matter what the weather, you're looking at your rearview mirror through a swept and defrosted windshield instead of turning your head sideways and looking through a door mirror. And they're so aerodynamic that you can really make excellent time on the highway. I mean, coming here today, I was just blowing past it. Of course, they didn't know they were racing, that helped. But they really do just nice, effortless highway cruising and, stuff like that. You won't win any stop time Grand Prix, but they're okay. I more than keep up with traffic. It's a single spoke, actually. The steering column starts at the hydraulic rack. And it comes all the way up and then just bends over to a spoke, and then there's a wheel. So to pull the steering wheel, you open up the hood, you undo a bolt, and you slide the whole thing out. It's about 5 feet long. And there's no actual mechanical connection between it and the wheels unless the pressure system fails, and then it's just a conventional rack and pinion. So.
And it's got, I think, unusual turn signals too, right?
They're up high in the roof.
Yeah.
They're up high in the roof, and you have to cancel them yourself. Yeah, and the headlights turn with the front wheels, and I don't know what else. The suspension geometry is center point, so that instead of having any sort of the tread patch is dead center of the pivoting points, which is why you can just go over bumps and not feel them in the wheel. You control the car, not the other way around. It's a complaint, though, because people like that sports car handling, and these have the opposite of that. They're so easy to live with, the comfortable ride. I'm getting old and cranky now, and the sports car thing annoys me. It's kind of nice to just sit on your sofa and drive with 2 fingers, and yet still be able to park without having to buy real estate.
So how much is this car worth? How much do they go for nowadays?
They seem to be coming up.
Yeah.
I think because this one is so close to the holy grail of Citroens, I guess, in that it has the turning headlights, but it still has the early dash and things like that. I suppose if I were to fire sale it would be $15,000, and if I could hold out and get it what I think it would be worth, maybe 30.
30, that's pretty good.
That's a big spread. I know I'm too close to it to really know.
And you said they've made $1.5 million from 1955 to 1972?
76.